In this video, we're going to talk about the top 10 youngest serial killers. Before starting, please do like the video and subscribe to this channel for future updates. It typically takes a lot to push someone to murder. Even for the majority of serial killers, they frequently spend a lot of time planning out their initial murder. Most murderers battle greatly with the desire to kill, which is why the majority of them wait until they are in their 20s or 30s before actually harming someone. There are certainly some extremely evil and twisted adolescents out there, even though the majority of serial killers began their crimes when they were adults. Some kids just are capable of killing as full-fledged adults, which is unthinkable. The stories of the youngest serial killers are particularly scary since we rarely consider children to be killers. Here are 10 youngest serial killers. Number 10, AMARDEEP SADA. AMARDEEP SADA currently is the youngest serial killer in history. When he was only 8 years old, he committed his first murder. You'll be even more surprised to learn why an 8-year-old would kill multiple people. Each and every one of his victims, there are many, was younger than a year old. He first killed his 6-month-old cousin before killing his 8-month-old sister. It wasn't until he confessed to stealing the infant from daycare and bashing her head with a stone that police were able to apprehend him after he killed a neighbor's 6-month-old baby. It was unbelievable that a child could commit such atrocious acts. After being placed in a children's home until he reached 18, AMARDEEP disappeared from the public eye. Number 9, Robert Thompson and John Venables. Few killings generated as much controversy as the one that claimed James Bulger's life, largely because the killers were just 10 and 11 years old. The two most horrible serial killers in Britain are still Thompson and Venables, who are also the youngest. James, too, and his mother were strolling through the mall when the boys came up upon him. James was observed being led by the boys to some nearby railroad lines as they left the mall. When his mother eventually located him, the kid had already been murdered with bricks, stones, and an iron bar. James's body was arranged so that it would be run over by a train on railroad tracks. When Robert Thompson and John Venables turned 18, they were allowed to leave prison. But after authorities discovered child pornography in his possession, Venables went back. Number 8, Mary Bell. Mary Bell, one of the most well-known child killers in British history. When most kids were playing with Barbies, Mary Bell was being detained for the murder of 2 young boys. The first victim, a 3-year-old child, died from suffocation. She carved the letter M into her stomach of the other man. After having her evaluated by psychiatrists, it was discovered that she had endured serious sexual, physical, and emotional abuse. Bell was determined to be mentally unstable to stand trial. She underwent rehabilitation and stayed in a facility until she was 23. She had a daughter 4 years later. She became a grandma in 2009. In a statement, one of the victim's parents said, "My son will never bring me a grandchild. I hope she is aware that my family is missing out on every time she sees the baby because of what she has done." Number 7, Jasmine Richardson. She started dating 23-year-old Jeremy Steinke when she was just 12 years old. Steinke, who introduced himself as a 300-year-old werewolf, immediately began brainwashing her. Jasmine's parents attempted to end their relationship after discovering Jeremy Steinke was a grown man. Jasmine and Jeremy went on a murderous rampage. Jasmine murdered both of her parents before killing her 8-year-old brother by stabbing him to death in his bed. The two had vowed to kill anyone who stood in the way of their alleged love, according to investigators. Number 6, Craig Price. Craig Price was 13 years old when he committed his first murder. He first killed a neighborhood girl by stabbing her to death after breaking into her home. Yet he escaped justice for this crime. Police were only able to build a trail back to him after he overdosed on an unknown substance and killed 3 more neighbors. He was just 15 years old at the time, and the latest murder and the victims ranged in age from 39 to 8 years old. All of his victims had been fatally stabbed. Due to his excellent behavior, he was released from prison in 2018. Number 5, Harvey Miguel Robinson. Harvey Miguel Robinson, one of the youngest serial killers currently serving a death sentence, was just 17 years old when he raped and killed 3 women in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Robinson wanted to bring one of his victims back to her house so he could kill her, which is the only reason he was even caught. During the abduction, he was met with police who were looking for one of the women. Robinson, being batshit crazy and a serial killer, tried to kill the cops. For the first murder, he received a death penalty conviction in 2006. Judges maintained the initial judgment despite his attempts to get the sentence reduced because he was a juvenile when he was prosecuted. He is currently awaiting death. Number 4. ALYSSA Bustamante. Bustamante was found guilty of killing her 9-year-old neighbor. She was only caught because she had written in her journal about how amazing it had been to kill. Further research revealed that Bustamante had other targets in addition to their neighbor. Police believed her younger siblings were among the other targets since the 15-year-old had dug several graves. Bustamante did not exhibit much remorse throughout her trial and will serve 35 years in prison before being eligible for release. Number 3. James Fairweather. James Fairweather is not just among the most recent serial killers, but is one of the few who exhibits zero displays of remorse. Fairweather frequently discussed his desire to commit murder. Teachers didn't believe him until he fatally stabbed a mentally challenged man who was intoxicated. His second victim was Nahid Alamenia, who was killed by a stabbing when she was out for a stroll. Fairweather was questioned by police but later released. In actuality, Fairweather wasn't taken into custody until after a third murder attempt. He was called a monster by his own mother, and what was so terrifying about his arrest was that he stated he intended to kill at least 15 more people. Despite his brutality, he had little regard for anyone but himself. Fairweather simply shrugged his shoulders and remarked, "I don't give an S," when the judge read him his sentence. He was 15 years old when the murders took place. Number 2. Cindy Collier and Shirley Wolf. These 2 young females who appeared to be normal were everything but. Both of the teens were unstable and had horrible homes filled with rape, abuse, and neglect. When they first met, they clicked right away and quickly became close friends. But the thing about troublesome kids is that they don't always act normally when they're grouped together. One day, Collier and Wolf struck up a conversation with an 85-year-old woman in her house. Collier pulled a knife out of the kitchen, tossed it to Wolf, and Wolf fatally stabbed the victim. In her diaries, Wolf recorded, "Cindy and I killed an elderly woman today while fleeing. Fun was had." The 2 young kids had every intention of killing other individuals, also for kicks and grins. It was later discovered. When they committed their first murder, they were ages 14 and 15. Collier went to a youth center after being institutionalized. She holds a law degree and is currently a mother of 4 kids. Wolf, on the other hand, continues to spend time behind bars. Number 1. Michael Hernandez. Michael Hernandez might be among the youngest serial killers to publicly proclaim his desire to commit mass murder. His victim, Jamie Go, was his best friend, and at the age of just 14, he fatally stabbed him. Hernandez was promptly looked into when Go's lifeless body was discovered in the school bathroom by authorities. At his school, police discovered extremely thorough plans to murder 2 further children. Hernandez allegedly declared his desire to become one of history's most well-known murderers. He succeeded in his objective in theory. He was only 15 years old when he was tried, but he is incarcerated for life without the possibility for parole. So what'd you think about this video? Let us know in the comment box below, and do like the video and subscribe to this channel for future updates.